Good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, like I said, UTSI today. It is my honor to welcome you to this very important occasion. We are all gathered here to celebrate the achievements of women and girls across the region and beyond. During our Women History Month celebration, let us rejuvenate our efforts for a better world, realizing equal rights for women and men, girls and boys everywhere. On behalf of UTSI, thank you for joining our celebration, and we welcome you. We are now going to have a moment of silence. Thank you. It is my honor to introduce Becky Steins. And for those of you that don't know me, I am Michelle Carmack, and I am the executive director. Sorry, no, I'm not. Not yet. I'm the interim director of finance. And I'd like to welcome Becky Steins. I'm coming for you.
Good morning. The Meaning of Success by Carolyn Kent. Success is being true to yourself, discovering what makes you happy and going after it. It's not just dreaming, but daring to make those dreams come true. Success is being satisfied with who you are and making the most of yourself. It's being the best you can possibly be. Success is not just waiting for things to come to you, but making the most of the opportunities that you have. It is working hard and being committed to the task at hand. It's not just doing something, but doing it right. It is giving all that you can possibly give and becoming a better person for your efforts. Success is taking chances. It is testing your abilities, pushing yourself to the limit, and going to places where you've never been before. Success is knowing that you can't always win. It is losing with dignity and knowing that if you have done the best that you can do and learned from your mistakes, then you have indeed succeeded. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. John Smisher, our Executive Director, will give a few remarks.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, but it's not about me today. I appreciate very much it, but we're here to celebrate a vital part of our community. I want to thank you all in the community for joining us today, and Dr. Alston for joining us as we celebrate the accomplishments of women in our community. And I'd like to highlight a little bit some of the accomplishments of women at the Space Institute. You know, I understand Michelle's aspirations. I would like to note that she would not be the first woman to actually be in an executive role at the Space Institute. We have had women in the executive office leading the Space Institute. Many of our leadership roles here are filled by dynamic, outstanding leaders. And I have great appreciation for all the women that lead our campus and ensure that we continue to perform our mission and serve the people of Tennessee in such a wonderful way. Many of them throughout their career have probably had to experience a degree of what's the technical term, BS, that didn't have to be dealt with. As Becky noted in her reading, dealing and recognizing things you've done poorly in the past and correcting them to go forward. I'm excited about what the future holds for us. And actually, I forgot to mention, you know, in terms of our historical accomplishments, Dr. Susan Wu was not only an incredibly accomplished faculty member at this institution, but also went on to establish a major corporation in the Huntsville area, Engineering ERC, that is now you know, one of the prime supporters of aerospace and defense technology maturation in the Huntsville area. Women have thrived in this campus in the past. I think that's due to the leadership and the environment created by women leaders on this campus, but I'd like everybody in this room to know that we are just getting started. And in the future, I'm looking forward to seeing an even more vibrant presence and greater presence of women on our campus as we strive to continue to support the people of Tennessee in our mission to serve all Tennesseans through, at the Space Institute, supporting quality of life through advancement of technologies in aerospace and defense. Basically, our job is to raise the local economy through the research we're doing. And we believe that in the future, a vitally important part of that will be the role women are going to play on this campus. We're very excited about it, and I look forward to, in the future, celebrating all the things that are yet to come. So thank you all so much for being here with us today to celebrate. And with this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ashley Brooks. I think that's a selection prepared for us. Thank you very much.
All right, now I'm ready. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be able to be here and to do a special song, a song that I wrote, actually, and it's called Rose. I want to dedicate it to all of the beautiful ladies of UTSI and all the women of Tennessee and around the world. There's a little girl I used to know who didn't realize her worth, oh no. Every night she'd cry herself to sleep, didn't realize who she was till eventually she found out, and she rose, bloomed into the marvelous woman she is today. Rose, bloomed into a full woman. Once this little girl I used to know found out her flaws make her roots go strong. She can now handle rainfall and not be swept away or carried at all. She holds her own and she rose, bloomed into the marvelous woman she is today. Rose, bloomed into a full woman, into a full woman. Oh, there's beauty in every petal, pain in every thorn, but in the midst of it all, she is standing tall. Oh, there's beauty in every petal, pain in every thorn, but in the midst of it all, she is standing tall. Oh, rose, bloomed into the marvelous woman she is today. Rose, bloomed into a full woman. Thank you.
We're so proud of her, but great selection. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's so talented. I have the pleasure and honor of introducing my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Chandra Alston. We've known each other for many years in this HR journey, and like I said, it was just an honor to be able to get up and introduce her today. She serves as the Vice Chancellor of Human Resources at UT Health Science Center. Chandra's 23-year career spans roles in information technology, finance, training, and human resources, working with faculty, staff, and students. She holds a bachelor's degree in marketing from UT Martin, an MBA in management from Union University, and a doctorate in higher education administration from the University of Memphis. an Associate Diversity Coaching Certification from the Howard University Coach Diversity Institute, and a certificate from Rice University Jones Graduate School of Business in Leading Workplace Diversity. These are both recently earned credentials. She's married to, and we thought we were going to have him with us today, her husband. She's married to Dr. Michael Alston, who also works at the UT Health Science Center as their Chief Diversity Officer. They have 3 children, 1 son-in-law, and 3 wonderful grandchildren. And I'm going to go off script here a minute and tell you, Chandra talks about her. She loves her children and her grandchildren, and I'm sure the son-in-law too, right? But she talks about them quite a bit, so I know she and Michael both, Dr. Alston and Dr. Alston, love their grandchildren and children. She's phenomenal HR officer, well-versed in so many aspects of human resources and leadership. She's a champion for diversity. She's gentle, but yet firm in her beliefs and her values. And I am just delighted to have her here today. I want to mention her mother. We're so glad to have her with us today. I tried to pay her for some stories, and we're still negotiating on that. We need to know some things. But at this time, I want to turn it over to Dr. Chandra Alston, our speaker for the hour.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here this morning. Happy Women's History Month. We're making history. We've been an integral part of history. Thank you to my good friend who is our HR colleague here across the state and doing wonderful things here at UTSI, and to her wonderful staff for making all the arrangements for me to be here this morning. Just thank you all, and for the panel of folks here today. Ashley, thank you for that beautiful selection. Thank you all for the kind words you've said today as I've made my way here. I'm just excited to be here today. I'm excited about women. I'm excited about the mark we're making here in history. I'm excited about all of these things we're doing. As I share these thoughts with you today, I want us to think about the image that you want or I want to see. That's what we put on every day when we get dressed in the morning. I want to look good for the world. I want to feel good about myself. That's what I put on my body. I think about that, and I think about how I might put on lipstick and make up my face. I want to project an image to you. But there's something underneath that shell that I have to contend with regularly. Doesn't matter your gender, really, because we all do contend with that. But we put on a shell that we want people to see, we want them to acknowledge, and we want them to kind of respect us or like us, or maybe not. It depends on what we have underneath that shell. So whatever we think and we want others to think about ourselves, I'm confident, I got it together, whatever that is, I want you to know right now, sitting here today, you're enough. Where you are right now, this very moment, you are enough. I am enough. And I get to decide when I want to make a change for myself or when I want to do something different with my life, add a credential, seek something new. That's my decision, not anyone else's. No one has permission to make that choice for me, woman or man. I choose. And right now, here, standing up here today, I am enough. We have to tell ourselves that because we beat ourselves up regularly because of some of the choices we make and because of some of the choices we don't make. I want to begin by telling you a story. And of course, the theme for Women's History Month this year is women who tell stories. So I'm going to tell you one that kind of resonated in my mind as I was thinking about what I wanted to share here today. It was on February 15th, 2023, and I remember this day just like I was sitting there. It hadn't been that long ago, so it's not hard to forget that recent of a memory. But I was sitting at my desk looking at my wall calendar, and I buy a girl boss calendar every year. Y'all know what a girl boss is? A girl boss is a girl boss. You got it? The girl that's in charge, the girl that's living large, the girl that has it. That's the girl boss calendar. It's inspiring, it's encouraging. I buy it every year. So I looked at my girl boss calendar and I noticed, it's still on January. Why haven't I flipped that over to the February month yet? But it had been a hard January. We had a chancellor that retired about a year ago now in Memphis, maybe 2 years ago now at our Health Science Center in Memphis. We had a new chancellor, and it was almost his 1-year anniversary. On his way in, there have been lots of changes. I now report to the chancellor. I used to report to the executive vice chancellor. I go to that table and sit at that big table with all those executives now. And so my life has changed. It's become more hectic and more busy. And I just did not notice I hadn't flipped that calendar. And as I sat there on February 15th, I read the current message that was there, and it said, every day is a fresh start. Every day is a fresh start is what the January message said. So I got up and I walked around my desk. It's not a huge trek, just a few steps. I walked around there and I flipped it to that February message. And as soon as I read it, it said, don't wish for it, work for it. Hit me like a ton of bricks. Even though I know I'm good enough, I just told you that. We just talked about that, and I wouldn't change that much about myself. That message inspired me. It woke me up. It shook me for a minute because I had been thinking about some ways that I was stuck in my mental thinking, in some habits, and in some things that were happening around me. It just kind of said, don't wish for it, work for it. And I understood why I might be in this rut. Because I had been wishing and not working. It's been a really challenging past 2 years. I told you 1 year when that chancellor changed, right? That was just 1 year of that whole scenario. But in the past 2 years, in both my personal and professional life, I've had some challenges. How many of you are going through something in your personal life right now? How many of you going through something in your professional life? It's always one or the other, or both, sometimes in our lives. Some of us just got over a major hurdle in personal life or professional life, and some of us are about to go through one. So don't worry. If it hasn't come yet, it's coming. So let's get this message let it resonate in our minds. As I thought about that calendar message, I was sitting there at my desk, and I actually did just take a long pause in my day. It was probably 10 or 15 minutes where I just began to think about how much I had wished over those past 2 years. And the first thing when I talked about leveraging something, I'm going to talk about what we need to leverage to stop wishing and start working. The first one is awareness. I became very aware of some things that were happening with me and how I had longed for some things over maybe that past 2 years. And I think that post-COVID coming out of that was probably part of this. I don't want to blame everything on COVID because y'all know we will do that, right? We'll blame everything on that. But my adult children, I really wanted them to get themselves together. They've been struggling through some things, and those struggles impact me as a parent and my husband as a parent. That impacts us, and so those challenges with our children were something that I was thinking about. I wanted to lose a few pounds. I picked up some COVID weight. I wish I could knock off about 20 pounds, and I wish I had more time during my day to get things done. There are a lot of people that depend on me in my life, and I really want to be there for them and be able to do the things. So I need a few more hours in my day. Boy, I want to organize their garage. Every time I drive up in their garage, I'm like, ooh, if I could just get that purple tub out of the middle of there, and if I could get all those pieces of junk that we have laying around, just organize them sometime. If I could start saying no when people ask me to do things. I'm so overcommitted. I won't even want you to look at my calendar. It's embarrassing. Why would a person do this to themselves? Learn how to say no. and on and on and on. I could tell you many, many things to add to that. In late 2022 and early 2023, my left eye started twitching. Anybody ever had an eye twitch? Ooh, what is an eye twitch? What does that mean? I had to go to the doctor because I was like, what is an eye twitch? So he told me, it's stress. It's stress when your eyes twitch. Y'all know that? I didn't know that either. I know now. He asked me, what's going on with you? New boss, right? I had the same boss for the past, I would say, maybe 18 years. I've been with Dr. Ken Brown before he got ready to retire. Now I have a new boss, new expectations, new challenges, new personality. Nothing bad, different. And change for some of us is stress. Adult children moving from living in the house to living on your own, barely making it, car breaking down, can't pay my light bill, can you help me with daycare? All of these things are pressures from outside myself that have to be resolved in some way. People want to answer when they call, can you pay for daycare? I can't keep them during the day, so somebody's got to pay for it. And you need to go to work so you can pay for the broken down car. We have to deal with all these pressures as parents, as women. So my right side started hurting after the eye started twitching. Had a pain in my right side. Been happening for over a year. I've been dealing with pain for about 18 months. I said, okay, let me go to the doctor. I went to the PCP for the eye twitching. So for the right side, I started out with the urologist. Nothing's wrong, can't find anything wrong. Went to the gynecologist, went to the gastroenterologist. I went to every specialist in the book trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Everybody said, there's really nothing wrong with you that we can see. There's nothing on the images. There's nothing going on there. The urologist did ask me a question. She said, Chandra, I gave you a diet a few years ago. It's about 5 years ago she gave me this diet. And I have something called interstitial cystitis, where your bladder can't process and doesn't want to process certain foods. And they irritate it, and they irritate your system. And I told her, I said, you know what? I forgot you gave me that piece of paper. I knew that lady gave me the piece of paper. It's posted on my refrigerator. And my husband says all this time, is that on your list? Is that on your list? And I say, shut up, I'm not looking at a list. I just got home from 8 hours of fooling with this stuff at UT. You think I'm looking at a list? I'm hungry. Put the food on the table. Shut up. Talking about a list. So, no, I had not been following the list. But remember when I looked at that wall calendar? Don't wish for it, work for it. I was wishing to feel better. Wishing to this pain would go away, but I wasn't willing to work for it. I wasn't willing to stop and look at that list on a regular basis and say, is something on that table or on that plate that's on that list that you need to take off that plate? That day in my office, that epiphany made me think about that list, which I do now follow, that prescribed diet that she says. And in the weeks following February 15th to today, I feel amazing. I feel amazing because I've started to work for something instead of wish for it. It is a sacrifice. It does hurt when everybody's eating chocolate cake, and chocolate is on my list. There's more on my list than foods available in the United States of America. There's more on that list. So I have to go search for foods that I don't even know the names of or how to spell so that I can eat that, because that is not on the list. But again, I'm willing to work for that because I want to feel better, and I want to be able to be my best self and present my best self to those I love and to those who are counting on me. I have 18 people on my team right now, and they don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want to come into a leader who's not preparing them for their next best step. I have 3 daughters and 3 grandchildren who are looking up to us to be able to help and support as they need it. And that's what parents do. I'm standing up here complaining and wishing they would change, but guess what? We adopted these 3 girls back in 2004, and the 3rd daughter came in 2006. So I went to DCS. Can y'all give me some kids? I could have sat at home. But when I went there and asked for those children, it's our responsibility as parents to take care of them. And if they have mental health challenges, if they can't pay their bills, we can't put them out on the street. We can't just do that, turn our backs on them. So we have to be ready for them. And this body and this mind has to be able to perform for them. So I can't keep wishing that my body will do what I want it to do. I gotta work for that. I gotta work for those girls. I gotta work for my mother. I'm a daughter of a single mother. Now, my mother was married, but a divorced mother. She told me to correct that. I forgot. Mama, you got to tell me what I was supposed to say. I'm sorry. My mother is divorced. Okay, she was married, but I grew up with her, she and I most of my life. So in my world, she is everything in a parent that I have. I got to take care of her. My biological father is deceased, but she's all I have living as a parent, and I want to make sure I have giving her my best self, my time, my energy. And when I'm with her, I'm not like, oh, Mom, I'm so tired, I can't deal with you. I've got to be able to give her my best. When I read that significant message in my office again, it made me think about the word wish. And I looked it up. It's a stative verb. A stative verb. And stative verbs describe things like qualities, states of existence, opinions, beliefs, emotions, things like love, want, own, have, resemble. There's no action word in there. Do, make, look. I needed action verbs, but I needed action verbs that were going to be authentic for me. That's where the second A word comes in. I told you about awareness. So you gotta figure out what's going on with me. Why is my side hurting? Why is my eye twitching? Some of us ignore eye twitches and side hurting for years. And they proud, I don't go to the doctor. I don't have to go. I haven't been to the doctor my whole life. I'm still here. Yeah, you barely still here. You're barely standing. We ignore the signs that our body is telling us. Be aware something is wrong with me. I'm not my best. I'm not giving you my best. Something you're doing, something you're putting in me isn't working. Take a look. Become aware. How do we become aware? Slow down. That minute I was sitting at my desk, that was the first time in probably a few months I had really just sat at my desk and been looking around, just in the space. You know, every time I'm on my computer, I'm on the phone, somebody's in my office, I'm going somewhere, I'm just moving and hustling and all these other things. But that moment when I sat still for that 15 minutes without moving my behind from that seat, it made me become aware of how I was losing myself. I was losing the things I wanted for myself. But the authenticity that I became aware of is I want to make changes that are for me and that Chandra needs. Now, in my young adult life, I remember looking around, we stayed in a neighborhood where a lot of the mothers didn't work. Remember I told you we adopted the three children. And in the neighborhood, you would see people walking their kids at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be at work all day, but some days I had to stay off from work or whatever, and especially when we first got custody of the girls, I would stay at home for like 6 weeks. You still get family medical leave. And so when I was at home during that time, I would see these mothers walking around, and I was like, oh, it'd be nice to stay at home. But, that wasn't me. That wasn't what I even wanted to do. Like, what would I do at home all day? I told you I don't cook, because I'm looking at the food. We're eating out all the time, so it's who are you and what do you want for yourself? Stop looking at everybody else, judging what they have, judging what their husbands do for them, judging what their wives do. Look at your life. How wonderful it is. Think about all the great things that people do for you and have for you and are around you. That is your authentic self. Be true to your own personality, your values, your spirit, regardless of the pressures you are to act. I remember when we adopted the girls, I had an uncle who didn't believe in adoption. And he said, you don't know what you're getting with those kids. You might wake up one night and they'll have a knife at your throat. My authentic self told me, those kids are probably not going to have a knife in my throat, because nobody would be adopting people if every kid had knives at people's throats. Children need love. They need guidance. They need discipline. They need a place to call their own. They need a cheerleader. They need a champion for their rights. When they have that, they're not gonna cut your throat. They're gonna love you back. And even if they don't love you back, they'll do the best they can with what they have. So being your authentic self, even if your family doesn't agree with you, even if your boss doesn't agree with you, you have to stand up for your authentic self. There's a book I've just finished reading. It's by an author named Nicole Khalil, and her book's called Validation is for Parking. Validation is for parking. She talks about having the confidence to know who you are and own who you are not, and choose to embrace all of it. I remember we were starting our DASH program, and for those of you who work at UT, we are replacing our HR and our financial systems. And I remember being in one of the first meetings, and I couldn't understand one of the what we call providers of our services. And I said, I can't understand you. You're speaking too fast. Your accent is very thick, and I won't be able to understand you throughout this process. And I was the only one that was speaking up. I'm never going to be quiet when there's a problem for me. You picked me to be a head of this for the HR team, and if I can't understand the representative, I'm not going to be a good representative for HR. Pick somebody that understands them. It's not me. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to advocate for myself and for the function, because that's what you asked me to do. When we got off the call, nobody else spoke up. Everybody said, I couldn't understand either. I'm glad you said something. People won't speak up because they're afraid. Be authentic. Be okay with speaking up when something's wrong for yourself, because just because it's wrong for you, don't feel like you're the only one. Now, I pretended like I was the only one because I knew nobody else felt comfortable saying that. But I'm okay being that advocate and that authentic person. Also, I'm a extreme organizer and administrator. And I used to say, man, I wish I would stop kind of taking over stuff when I get into it. But that's who I am. Authentically me. If you put me in a group right now, y'all said, let's break into groups and do something, I'm going to lead the group. That's the girl boss. What's wrong with that? Own it. I embrace it. What I'm not, though, I talk about a couple things I'm not. My husband is one of the most thoughtful people in the world. He watches, like when I go to the store, if I buy a specific type of drink or a piece of candy, he also does this for his staff members. If they come in and they like Dr. Pepper, he pays attention to that kind of stuff. And so when he comes home, some days he'll bring our favorite drink. The girls and we would get our favorite drink. And he would always do these kinds of very thoughtful things for his staff, because even one day he came over to my office and he had a big bag of candy. I said, what is that? He said, I'm taking one of these to each of my team members. I know what they like, so I'm going to put it on their desk and surprise them when they get back. I don't have that gift. I don't know what any of my team members like. Is that a bad thing? No, it's not me. But I have grown people. There are probably half a dozen or maybe a dozen people that have taken on the positions that I've left because I've trained them and they've been ready to walk right into those roles as I moved on. My talents and gifts are in developing people and leading people. And I spend my time there looking at how you work, how to make sure you are able to take the training that gets you to that next level, making you HR leaders. I just have a girl who's leaving me now to be the director of HR at our Baptist College of Health Sciences in Memphis. I'm proud of the work I do. I don't care what you drink. I don't care what you eat. I want you to be in this position making good money, doing good for yourself. That's what I want for you. That's my authentic self. So I had to say, I'm going to own, because my husband and wife said, why don't you ever know what to give me for Father's Day? Write it on a list, call Macy's, put it on hold, call Dillard's, put it on hold, and I'll go up there and get what you want. Stop putting that pressure on me. I'm not you. I don't have that gift. So I'm not going to try to make myself into being something I'm not. Own who we are not. That's really important for a lot of us too. I was also, when I was reading the validation is for parking, it was talking about grandparents. Okay, so remember I told you we adopted 3 girls. So our biological son passed away when he was a year old. So we don't have any biological kids. And our girls came like after we were maybe married 10 years. So our girls were 9, 10, and 17 when they came to us. So now that's been several years ago. So now they're like 34, 29, and 28. and we have the 3 grandkids. So I was like the grandmother that I thought I wanted to be. This was her. So she would be baking cookies with the kids, and they would be in the kitchen doing little projects, and they would be in their little aprons, and we would all be like on the counter mixing things and all that. I decided, and I really beat myself up about this for a while until I read Nicole's book. This is the kind of grandmother I am. I can take like a small dose of them, like about 2 hours, and I'm ready for them to go home. And I would feel really guilty about that because the other grandmother for one of our granddaughters, she would want to keep her all week. She would say, just bring her and drop her off. You don't even have to come back and pick her up. You can never do that in my house. You can't like drop her off and not pick her up. Like, what time are you going to be back? So I felt guilty, because I wanted to be like the other grandmother. I wanted to be that person who was endeared to the grandchildren and just wanted to be tied to them. But I'm not that girl. And I have to be authentic. I have to be the kind of grandmother I am. But my grandkids love being with me because we get a lot done in a little bit of time. We play games, we do all the puzzles in the house. I mean, we do everything real quick, and then it's time to go home. Let's pack up. But that's who I am. That's my authentic self. Own that. And don't be mad at myself because I'm not that other person. The last point I have here is accountability. Accountability means showing up and setting out to accomplish the things you said you do. Be that person. Be the one who's going to be accountable to what you said. When I tell my team, hey, I'm going to help you become a director of HR, it's not words coming out of my mouth. That's for real, for real. You're going to sit in my seat and drive in this seat. You know how you get your little permit and your parents let you sit on the side? See, they don't sit you in the driver's seat on day one, hopefully. Hopefully you sit on the side, you learn how the gear shift works, you learn how the brake works and all that. Same thing for building an HR director. They have to sit in your seat sometimes. So me being accountable to them means me giving up the driver's seat sometimes so they can go to the meeting with the chancellor, so they can go do the presentation that I would have done, so they can practice these things before they get in the real seat. That's what being accountable to somebody is for me. And being accountable to when I tell you I'm going to do something for you, I'm going to go the distance with that. So even with adoption, a lot of people will take kids back to the state and say, I can't do it. You signed up. You signed up. Stick it out. Stop being a wimp. Stick it out. They need you. You can't take those biological kids back. I bet you that. We have to hold ourselves accountable for what it means to me to be aware and authentic in my walk and my talk and my decisions. It's not for everybody else, it's for me. It's for me. It's how I'm true to myself and build a life and existence I want for me. I have to be honest with myself that my motivations are true, that they're just not surface level and inauthentic. See, because if I was playing to be that grandmama, I couldn't play that role for 5 minutes. I'd be sick of that lady. I can't play that role. So when I'm my authentic self, I'm good. And people love that and appreciate that. We also have to eradicate excuses and actions above excuses. Actions should be above excuses. Know when to say no. Or the best thing you say is, my pastor asked me and my husband to teach Sunday school. And I didn't say no. I said, not right now. Not right now. What does that mean to him? No, not right now, but it doesn't mean forever I won't do it. It just means not right now. There's a lot going on in my life. I mean, I just got a new boss. I'm over the DASH program for HR. I got too much going on to teach Sunday school too, and I know the Lord is good. But guess what? I got sense. He gave me discernment. I better use it, or I'm going to be overwhelmed and overworked. We also have to be realistic. It will be difficult to achieve our goals overnight. That 20 pounds I've been looking at, I think I lost 4 pounds in like the last 6 weeks. That's probably realistic. 6 weeks, 4 pounds. That's not enough. I want more. But the reality is, it is what it is. I didn't get here overnight, so I've got to really strategize. I've got to come up with a strategy that's going to work for me. Can't do what everybody else is doing. Everybody talking about, girl, you can drink these shakes, you can make this soup and eat this soup. I'm not doing that foolishness. I have to do something that can work. I can't do anything extreme and crazy like that. And I have to keep track. See, the other thing, I would have looked at that wall calendar and I could have said, now it's February, it's March, I'm about to flip it, right? But I gotta keep track, and I gotta help myself remember what I'm working on and what I'm working toward, because nobody else is gonna keep track for me. I have to keep track of that myself. And it's up to me to remind myself to continue the work that I've begun in myself. I have to stop wishing for it and again, keep working for it. So this Women's Month, I want you to do that. And I want you to become more aware, authentic, and accountable to yourself and to those around you. And I want to thank you again for having me this morning. And I hope that I've said something that has sparked you and motivated you. I definitely said something to myself that sparked me and motivated me, because I needed it as well as you. So thank you so much for having me this morning. I appreciate it.
All right, we really appreciate Dr. Alston presenting to us today. She broke it down to herself, and so we were just really glad to hear that. On behalf of the University of Tennessee Space Institute, we present to Dr. Chandra Alston, Vice Chancellor for Human Resources of the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. We thank you for presenting at the 2023 Women's History Month celebration at UTSI, March 29, 2023.
Those of you who can't see, there's a very nice engraving message that Patricia just read, and a clock here. Dr. Alston, we're very fortunate to have you with us today.
Thank you.